Overcast conditions greeted the athletes for day 2 of the Tokyo test event. The wind was whipping across Tokyo Bay and between the buildings as race number 1, Jake Birtwistle, went through his final preparations, knowing that bike conditions could be tricky as a result, with the Australian seeking the top 8 spot that could book him on the plane to Tokyo 2020.
Take your marks.
Rio 2016 bronze medalist Henry Schoeman of South Africa was always likely to dominate the 1.5 kilometre swim, and having selected his position on the near side of the pontoon, the route to the boy was clear from the very first strokes. Behind him, the field strung out somewhat at that first turn, and coming out at the halfway point, it was Mark Devey of Hungary and Slovakia's Richard Varga trying to stay in check. Behind them, the likes of Britain's Johnny Brownlee and Taylor Reid of New Zealand were also going well, fan favourite Takumi Hojo also clearly enjoying racing on home turf. Schoeman maintained rather than extended his advantage over the second lap, coming up the ramp into T1 just seconds ahead of Devey before calmly setting himself for the technical 40-kilometre ride ahead. Hojo, Brownlee and Reid were in close pursuit as they snaked out onto the opening stages of the course, quickly joined by Jonas Schomburg, Pierre Lecorre and Tyler Mislachuk. First, an 11-deep group merged, and Schomburg decided he wasn't going to wait for somebody else to make a move, pulling away to try and carve out unassailable lead. With nobody prepared to go with the Flying German, all that was left was for the chasing groups behind him to merge into one huge train of over 30 riders that made it even harder to negotiate some sections of the gusty course. Nevertheless, Schomburg was eventually caught by the sea of athletes in pursuit, and by the end of the 8th and final lap, they would swarm together into transition. Mislachuk and compatriot Matt Sharp, Hayden Wild, Helle Heens and Henry Schoeman all looking very well placed. Birtwistle was among the pre-race favourites to have benefited from the tricky bike conditions and put himself right into contention out of T2, but it was Belgium's Heens out ahead to begin the 10-kilometre run. From there, the pattern of the race slowly began to reveal itself, the 6 front runners stretching away from Eden and Brownlee before Mislachuk made a move on lap 2 to which only Wild and Storns responded, leaving Schomburg and Heens in their wake. Taking on fluids as well as the occasional iced headband, the trio took control, all 3 looking like they had plenty in the tank to deliver a grandstand finish. By the bell lap, the composition, if not the order of the podium, was beyond doubt. What had been a 10-second advantage over Brownlee and Eden was now doubled. The leaders tested and probed each other with small bursts before Storners eventually pulled down the challenge and accelerated away towards the final bend and the start of the blue carpet. Mislachuk went too as Wild faded, but it looked like the Norwegian's race until the final move into the finish chute, at which point the Canadian delivered a burst of his own, searing past a helpless Storners to take the tape with a delighted howl.
That's the biggest race outside the Olympics for me, so that's just unbelievable. I had good legs in the day, and I want to thank the boys out there for helping me out. Worked as a team out there, and I couldn't have done it without them, so yeah, just can't believe it, man, can't believe it.
I've had a good training camp in front of me, and I just felt really good today, so it's just amazing to come back like this. It's unbelievable, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely stoked. Hey, it was unbelievable. There was massive names in that group. Everyone was there, and yeah, just wasn't to get the guy and just get that podium for sure.